have a couple different forms that we as real estate brokers here in Florida use when a client is buying or selling a property. One is a form, what we call an as-is form, where the buyer will buy a property as is. And then there's other with the full repair thresholds, full inspections, repair. Can you guys tell us a little bit about the nuances, the differences, Gary, about
Sure.
the benefit or detriment of each one?
Well, there are major differences. If I'm a seller of property, I would much rather prefer an as-is, not an as-is, but a repair threshold contract. And under the repair threshold contract, the parameters are usually established at about 1.5% for various items. So up into that repair threshold, the seller's obligated to fix them. And that sounds, well, why would a seller be interested in having a repair threshold? And the reason for it is because we have a benchmark case in Florida called Johnson v. Davis. And it was a roof defect case that stands for the proposition that if a seller knows of a known defect, they're obligated to repair it. So under any normal contract, a buyer will do an inspection and give the inspection report to the seller. So now the seller now has knowledge of these defects that are at the property. So if the buyer does not proceed with the contract and terminates the contract for any reason, the seller's still stuck with the knowledge. So either they're going to be obligated to fix it, or they're going to have to disclose it to a subsequent buyer. And obviously, disclosing it to a subsequent buyer is going to have a little bit of a chilling effect on somebody trying to buy the property. So if I'm a seller, I want to have a repair threshold. One of the other nuances under the repair threshold is that the seller can elect to pay in excess of the threshold. So if the threshold may seem like a lot of money, but you know something? The seller's still going to be stuck with it if the buyer can walk away from the contract. Under the as-is, the buyer can inspect the property. If they don't like it for any reason, they don't like the paint color, they don't like the kitchen, they can walk away from the deal. They can still provide the repairs to the seller, and now the seller is still stuck with the property.
Yeah, and there's usually a specific time. In other words, this is in Florida. You're going to have 10 days, 20 days, 15 days to do your inspections under either provision. And then on an as-is, that during that period of time, that the buyer will make a decision whether he wants to go forward with the contract.
And you know something? It's probably the biggest problem that it's associated with any closing is always the repair issues.
100%.
And who's doing the repairs? You need to get licensed people. It may cost you a little bit more money, but it's certainly worth spending a little bit more money and having less headaches when you get to the time of closing. Because if you're not able to establish that they've been repaired by competent people, then the buyer's going to create problems for you. So as a seller, you want to make sure that the repairs are done by licensed professionals.